guys, welcome back to the Team Hemp channel. James here again with another premium deck profile. This time an update actually on a previous deck profile that we have on the channel for Battle Sisters of the Oracle Think Tank clan. Now this was actually a request by another viewer here on the channel, so wanted to give a quick update on this deck. If you want to see the original deck profile on this deck, the link to the video will be in the description below. I won't be going into too much detail since that video pretty much covers most of the units in the deck, and the deck really hasn't changed since then. So we're just going to go quickly through it, show you what I'm working with, and if there's any newer units in here that I didn't say in the other video, I'll go into detail with those. But with that being said, let's get started. So for Battle Sisters, I'm still running the 4 Fromages. She's still the main grade 3 in the deck. I tried out the new Fromage, the reverse, and I've just been liking this one a lot more. I still like the draw 2 off of her, the be able to stack the top of the deck with her skill for a discard. I still think she's better, especially for the way I like to play the deck. So I have her as a 4 of. Then my other 3 is still the Onstrider right here. Miss Florentine. I like her for the reason that she's an on-stride option for the deck. So if I, for whatever reason, don't ever see Fromage and I'm gonna go into my first stride, I can ride her and then stride on her, do her on-stride abilities, which is Counterblast 1 to look at the top 2, put 1 card from among them to hand, put the other on top or bottom of the deck, and my Vanguard gets the red skill of all my Battle Sister rear guards get +3. So it's a nice skill to be able to have as an option. So yeah, that's why I still have her as a 2 of. And then that's it for grade 3s. I only run 6. As for the 2s, we still run 4 of the Trifle. Trifle is still one of your main grade 2s in the deck. So because of that, I keep her as a 4 of. She lets you look at top 3, call a Battle Sister, so she builds a board, leaves the other 2 on top, which stacks your deck. And she's also potential guard restrict as well. As long as you have a grade 3 in soul when she attacks, you can soul blast it out and your opponent can't call sentinels against her. So definitely still a main card in the deck. And then another 2 I run a 2 of is Battle Sister Choquette. At least I hope I said that right. She's one of my grade 2 ride targets besides Miss Trifle right here. So she says you can Soul Blast 1 to look at the top 5, reveal a grade 3 from among them. That grade 3 goes on top of your deck. The rest that you looked at goes to the bottom of the deck. I mainly try to hit Heal Guardians with her, so that way I'll have one for defense purposes, and also, you know, drive check that heal to go back down to 0 damage, usually. Unless my opponent rushed me, then it lets me heal back down to 2 or 1. So that's the main thing with her. And also to be able to search for a main grade 3 one ride, which is Miss Fromage right here. So that's why I still have her. And then another grade 2 I'm still running is the Sable as a 2 of. She is a draw extra card that's from the old G era. So what she does is you can Soul Blast a Battle Sister, which is important, keep that in mind. You have to Soul Blast a specific name. If the number of other units with Battle Sister in their names is 3 or more, so not including herself, you may draw a card. So she includes the Vanguard. So when you ride any of your grade 2s, so like say you ride her, for example, you call her to rear. If you have 2 other Battle Sister rear guards, you can Soul Blast a Battle Sister to draw. So that's why I like her. She's a very cheap effect to just draw extra cards. So I run her as in here as well as a 2 of. Our main attacker, Miss Macaron, run her as a 2 of. She gets 10k if you looked at your deck by a card effect, but she has to be there to see it that you looked at your deck. So looking at your deck includes from effects that say look, reveal, search effects. So do keep that in mind. And if you're noticing, I'm running a lot of 2 of grade 2 Battle Sisters besides Miss Trifle. That is because some of our effects say when you have Battle Sisters of different names on your rearguard circles, this allows me to have a variety of different Battle Sisters, all with good effects, but still have a lot of them with different names. And one of those main cards that cares about the different names is Miss Fromage right here to stack the top of your deck, especially if you're going first. You ride her, you draw your 2 cards, then you call a bunch of different Battle Sisters, and you can stack the top cards of your deck. So this is why I'm running a bunch of 2-ofs. And then one of the new cards I'm running, it's actually from the latest Battle Sisters support that we got, was Miss Battle Sister Mocha. So she says when she's rode upon, so she wants to be a grade 2 ride target, you Soul Blast 1, look at the top 2 cards of your deck, you choose a card from among them, put it into your hand, and then you put the rest in the bottom of your deck. I think it should say put the rest on top or bottom. I think that she was one of the cards that was misprinted, I believe. So she allows you to stack your deck once you hit your grade 3. I usually don't like to ride her because that Soul Blast does matter, especially early game. This deck doesn't really build a lot of soul. What I really like her for is her second skill, which is continuous on the rear or guardian circle on both players' turns. If you have 3 or more units with Battle Sister and their different card names, so includes herself, includes the Vanguard, so as long as you just have 1 other unit on field, she gets a 5k power, 5k shield, so she'll be a 14k base, 10k base shield, and then if your hand is 4 or more cards, she gets an additional 5. So she can be 19k base total if you can meet her conditions. So she's another beat stick with macaron, but she's also really good grade 2 intercept, 10k shield. Another thing to keep in mind is that 5k shield she can gain, she doesn't have to intercept to do that 5k shield. So you can have her in hand, and if you can meet her conditions of having 3 or more different Battle Sisters on rear, you can call her to the Guardian Circle as a 10k shield. So that's the main reason why I like her, for power and for shield. And she's another different Battle Sister I can run. And then we go to grade 1s. We have 4 of this grade 1. Torrijas. So she's the main grade 1 in the deck, or one of the main grade 1s. When she's played, so Vanguard or Rearguard Circle, so she's one of my main grade 1 targets I like to ride. You can look at the top, you reveal the top card of your deck, so your opponent gets to see it as well. If it's a Battle Sister card, you can add it to hand. So it could be normal unit, trigger unit, doesn't matter. If it's not, it just stays on top of the deck. And then her other skill on rear is if you looked at your deck by a card effect, she gets 5. So definitely run her as a 4-of. I can't see you running the deck without her as a 4-of for sure, especially in Battle Sisters. Then we go to 4 Battle Sister Pentatone. She's one of the few cards that lets you generate soul. She says you can put her into soul to look at the top 2 cards of your deck, put one of them on top of your deck, put the rest on the bottom, and the next time you hit a trigger, the trigger power gives an additional 10. So if you hit a 5k trigger, it becomes 15. If you hit a 10k trigger, it becomes 20, but it's only on the next drive check. So do keep that in mind. It's not for the entire drive check, it's just for the next trigger you see in your drive check. So definitely a good card to have in the deck. Again, one of the few cards that build soul, so definitely try to fit her in your deck if you can. Then I also run another beat stick in the deck, Battle Sister Casada. Very simple skill. Once per turn, if your drive check reveals a trigger unit, she gets 10k. So with her, you're able to build a column of her and the attacker in front of her. If you hit a trigger, you can give that 10k power to the other column that may not have her. And then this column will still have that 10k trigger power up because of her skill. So if I say I hit a crit that gives 10k power to something, I can give it over there. And then on this column that she's on, it's like I gave it to that column anyway because of her plus 10. So you're not really missing out. Both columns will benefit from seeing a trigger if you have her on one of them. That's how I see her. And then 3 of the Stride Fodders. She's really good. She allows you to search for your grade 3 Battle Sister that you want to ride, which, as I've said earlier, is Miss Fromage right here. Do keep in mind though, in order to search, you have to reveal a grade 3 Battle Sister card in your hand. So you can't just reveal a Heal Guardian like other Stride Fodders in other decks. She specifically requests that you reveal a grade 3 Battle Sister. Just search for the grade 3 Battle Sister that you want. And then, of course, her second skill, if you discard it for strategy, is a grade 3. Now, 2 of the grade 1s that are new to the deck that came out with the other Battle Sister Mocha is Miss Battle Sister Coco. She's definitely a grade 1 ride target in the deck, as if she's rode upon, you may call her to rear, so she has like the old Forerunner skill of back in the day. And her other skill is Act. You can rest her to look at the top card, put her at top or bottom of the deck. If you put it on the bottom, you choose one of your units and it gets +3. So early on, say your opponent went first, they're a Force deck, they go to grade 2, they're 10k base, or they're playing overdressed grade 2s. Regardless, they're 10k base. You can have her on the rear guard circle, call out a rear guard that's, say, a grade 1 or grade 2. You can rest her, look at the top card, put that card on the bottom, and then give that rear guard +3, which will give them the threshold they need to hit over a 10k base grade 2, which is really nice. Also, you can mind game with your opponent using cards like her. That's really the reason why I like OTT a lot. You can look at the top card and manipulate it, put top or bottom. You can use that as a mental game to your advantage. So you can rest with her, look at the top card and say, you know what, I'm gonna leave that on top. It could be a normal unit that you just want, but your opponent's most likely gonna think, oh, it's a trigger, I need to guard that way. Or I need to guard a certain way so that way that trigger, quote unquote, that you put on top won't hurt me as much. And then you do your drive chain, they realize, oh my God, my whole game plan was expecting you to see a trigger and you did it. So being able to do mind games like that is really cool. So why I don't run her higher count is the fact that because you have to rest her to do her skill, that's one less booster that you'll have access. This deck does not multi-attack. This deck only does 3 attacks unless you go into a certain stride, then you can do 4. So the boosters that you have do matter. The fact that you will not have a booster if you do her skill really does hurt the power output of the deck, I feel. So that's why I only run her as a 2 of. And then for triggers, we'd have 3 of the crit striding, the Celeste Witch. So I could bump her up to 4, but I've been liking her as a 3 of. And the reason why is because I run 2 of these crits right here. Again, as I said earlier, this deck doesn't really build soul. So I value having these at least as a 2 of over having the full 4 of the stride crits. Now, if you feel that, oh, I put more priority on striding, then you could easily just exchange one for another. But when playing this deck, you'll find out real quick that you can build up a lot of hand pretty quick. You can build up hand that's not as hard as other clans have, which is another specialty of OTT. So you'll usually have at least one of these to stride with every time. If not, at least you'll probably add one of these Battle Sister stride fodders to your hand as well. So that's why I've been feeling that 3's been working just fine. And then to round out the crits, besides these ladies, we also have 2 of the Battle Sister crit right here, our main counter charger of the deck, and a crit that can put herself back. She is an old crit though, so she does have the old stats of 5k power, 10k shield. So do keep that in mind. But thanks to that other grade 1 Battle Sister, if you see her on top of your deck, you can leave her there and then do the grade 1 to give her an additional 10 output when you drive check her. So the deck works very well and it runs very smoothly. It's very few times that the deck does not do so. Yeah, so definitely try to find space for her as well. I've tried other ratios of doing 4 of her, so 2 less of these, 4 of her, and 3 of the stride fodder crit. That didn't work out. That got changed really quick when I tried that out for 2 reasons. One, we do need soul, so having these on rear to be able to go to soul to +10 and draw really matters, and running less 10k boosting triggers does hurt quite a bit as well, especially when your opponent says 2 to pass. The 2 to pass is 2 10k triggers, and then you see one of these and you go, man, so now I need to hit another one of these and a 10k trigger. So that's why the 2's just been fine for me. That I have not been really needing to bump her up more than that. So that's the crits. And then I still run, as you saw, I don't run any Sanctitude. I still run the 4 drop PGs. That's seeming to become a trend. I do value the draws a lot more in this deck. Now you can easily, especially in Oracle Think Tank, you can argue that, oh, well, you don't need the 4, you'll deck out faster. Just put in the Elementaria. Well, I don't usually lose the deck out. When I play this deck, it usually is either I kill my opponent or they kill me. So I don't ever run into really a deck out situation. And I like seeing her on defensive checks, and I like seeing her on top of the deck if I know that I look at the top 3 and I rearrange my deck and I see that I have one of these draw triggers, a normal unit, and say a crit. I can stack the 3 on top of the deck and my opponent will think, oh, they must be all triggers. So again, it's part of the mind game aspect. You can hit this, draw that normal unit that your opponent doesn't know, then you hit a crit, and then there's another card that both of you don't know. So now they're gonna guard a certain way because they see you put the 3 on top, then you hit the drive checks and they go, oh man, I just guarded incorrectly because I thought this and this. So that's why I like running the 4. And then we still run the 4 Heal Guardians because we're trying to get to grade 3, and the fact that they are grade 3s, you can use them for stride fodder as well if you need to. I actually do find myself using these Heal Guardians to stride a lot more than I do for actual G guards. For the main reason that, again, OTT draws through a lot of cards. They see a lot of cards that most clans do not. So you'll usually have an extra 1 or 2 of these in hand. So that's why I do it. But definitely you don't have to do that if you don't want to. Just depends how you want to play the deck. But definitely 4 Heal Guardians so you can get to grade 3. And then we run the Keter Sanctuary OT, just so we can draw additional, so we can add more cards to our hand. Also to threaten our opponent with more drive checks, especially with guard restricts that we have in the G zone. So that's why I like this over the vanilla over trigger. But if you rather run the vanilla over trigger, go right ahead. There's really not wrong. Either way is the right way, I feel. I just like this guy more personally. And then of course, she's still my favorite starter, and the fact we don't have a V Battle Sister starter yet. We have Lozenge Magus right here. And then we go to the shrines. So this is the restanding shrine I was mentioning, Miss Momo. So she can restand if you discard 3 on her attack, and for each card you discard on her attack, your front row gets 10k till the end of the turn. And when she restands, she gets -2 drive. So this is like the one way the deck can have 4 attacks. Other than that, this deck is just a very simple 3 attack swing deck. So I did have her as a 2-up for a bit, but because of the newest stride OTT got, I bumped her down to 1. And yeah, 1's been working for me. Now I just time her. If I feel I can kill my opponent first stride with her, I'll do it. If I feel that I can't kill her with them, I cannot kill them on the first stride with her, I just wait until a later turn. It just comes down to what's the situation and the current game state on that turn that you want to go into her or not, if you should do or not. And then I run still the staple for Ichikishimas. Love her, hate her. She's really good for OTT, a very solid stride. She lets you draw 2, and she also says no zeros, no G guards if you can hit her GB3 guard restrict, which is very easy in Oracle Think Tank. It's very easy to hit that guard restrict. And the best thing about her is once you activate her guard restricts, you don't have to keep the 5 cards in hand anymore. She just cares on the moment of activation. If your hand's 5 or more, you flip over a G unit and now the effect's active for the turn. So really solid stride. I run 2 of this Battle Sister Shrine that allows you to stack the top certain cards of your deck, depending on the number of rear guards with Battle Sister in their card names. So there have been quite a few games I've gone into her. She's actually stolen, no pun intended with her name. She has stolen a few games with her effect because my opponent thinks, oh, he must be running low on triggers because it's pretty late into the game. And then you do her skill, you check the top cards, you realize, oh shoot, I still have enough triggers to do a triple drive of nothing but triggers. Put them all back. So that's why I like to keep her as a 2-of. And then we have 2 of the Wakihirume, literally only in here to stack the over trigger on top of our deck with her skill. Besides that, she's just usually flip fodder. And then the newer stride that we got for OTT is this dude right here, Mr. Happiness Gathering Dragon King. He lets you build a board, activate any triggers you revealed through his effects. Let's go see that way. That way you guys can read it real quick. So yeah, he lets you build a board, activate trigger effects with his skill. And the cool thing about him is if you do his skill and you reveal the over trigger, you get the 100 million, you get the draw, but because the trigger wasn't drive checked or damage checked, the trigger goes to your hand. So he plays on really well with Wakihirume of stacking the OT on top of the deck, because I'll usually go him first stride, do his skill, build a board, or try to then reveal the OT, possibly. If I reveal the OT, give the 100 million draw, and then next turn just go into her and stack the top of the deck. So really good stride. Definitely an earlier game stride. I wouldn't really do him late game unless you have no other better choices, which means that you're not going to get 5 cards in hand for Ichikishima. You don't really have a board ready for stolen. You don't have enough cards in hand to even do Momo. So you just go, okay, well, I'll just go into him, just build a free board, get some free cards to hands, and just go from there. So I think he's definitely a solid stride that you can run as a 2 of. If you want to cut this other copy out for another card, for another stride, you can. There's no reason not to. But I've been liking it as 2, so that's why I run it as a 2. And then for the G guards, it is definitely, it's a little bit different from the last profile, but now I'm doing a 3-2 split. So the 3 is Amaterasu because she generates a soul when you call her out. Because when she's placed on Guardian Circle, you can soul charge 1. Look at the top card, put it top or bottom. So she deck stacks on your opponent's turn, builds you an extra soul for your next turn. So, and she gets extra 10k shield if your hand's 4 or more. So that's cool. Free effects are nice. And then 2 of this one, this Octagon Omegas. So I don't really go into her too much, but when I do, I usually like to call grades 0 and 3, because if with her you counterblast 1, you choose 2 grades 0 to 3, declare them, you reveal the top card of your deck. If the revealed card is any of the declared grades, you put that card into your hand. If you put that card into your hand, she gets 15 extra shield. So I like to call 0 and 3 for the reason that 0s just means extra shield to your hands on top of the 15 to her, and then 3s so that way you have a higher chance of potentially seeing like your main grade 3s like this, or hitting a heal on top of the deck. You can add it to hand, and now you can do another G guard if you wanted to. Besides that, that's really it. Thank you so much again, guys, for watching this video, watching just a touch up on the last Battle Sister deck profile that I did on the channel. This is definitely a deck that doesn't really take too many changes unless I get new Battle Sister units or new OTT G units to work with that are generic or Battle Sister specific. So as you saw, there wasn't really too many changes from the last vid, but definitely felt like there was some cards I needed to mention just as a refresher for people who are interested in maybe building Battle Sister for premium. And again, guys, thank you again. If you like this type of content, please like, subscribe. Thank you for the request for this deck profile. Hopefully it was up to your standards, your expectations. Let me know in the comments what you think of the deck build, if I could try different things to do it better. And yeah, thank you so much, guys. Y'all take care.